Aloha, welcome back to Spike's Breezeway Cocktail Hour. We're gonna talk about ice tonight. Ice. What? Ice? I'm gonna show you 3 different options of ice for tiki cocktails. And then we're gonna do a review of the granddaddy of tiki ice making machines, the GE Opal 2.0. Let's go. First, let's talk about cubes. You don't want ice cubes for tiki cocktails. When you're making craft cocktails, you usually want like a cube, right? Because you want less dilution for things like old fashions, that kind of stuff. That's why you find that one big cube in your cocktail. Now with tiki cocktails, ideally you have a uniform pebble-sized piece of ice that will help to introduce water into your cocktails. That's why you see tiki bartenders not straining into fresh ice, they pour dirty. So you're pouring the whole cocktail straight from the shaker or the mixing tin right into the cocktail glass. You want dilution from the ice into the cocktail. Let me show you what I used to do. When I was first starting out making these things like 20 years ago or something, I knew that I couldn't just use cubed ice. And I didn't have an ice crusher in my refrigerator at the time. I don't have one now either. So all of the times that I spent in antique malls and estate sales and stuff, I would find these things. And of course, these are vintage ice crushers. This one's actually kind of rad. This is the Daisy Triple Ice Crusher. Super cool, shaped like a bomb on the bottom, or a rocket or something like that. Obviously from the late 50s or early 60s. And they would usually mount to the wall, so it makes it kind of easier for you to turn the crank. I never mounted one of these to the walls. I'd always kind of have to, it's a struggle session for sure. But what happens is, the lid opens up, there are all these horrifying steel teeth inside. You drop some ice cubes in there. And then what you do is you close up the top and start cranking. And it's really just an awkward pain in the ass. It doesn't, I mean, it works pretty well, but if this thing's not mounted to something, then you're wrestling it. Let's see, let me put some more in here. Okay. I mean, it does go pretty quickly, but who wants to do this all night, you know? There's a little button on the side. You push that button to release the box, and then this is the ice that it produces. See? Okay, I mean, it's good sized, mainly uniform in size. It isn't shaven to the point where if you put one of these little things into some room temperature liquid, it's just gonna vanish. So I would say it's a pretty good option. But of course, if we are trying to be very specific about the kinds of ice and the quality of cocktails that we're gonna make, this is a viable option. This is not the best option. Years ago, on my quest for great ice for tiki cocktails, this was my next stop. I bought this 1950s Snowflake by Oster little contraption. It basically does the same job as the mechanical hand crank ones. The only difference is that it's electric. You can kind of vary the size of the chips a little bit right here. Otherwise, the ice goes in the top, and then there's a switch right here, and I will show you how this thing efficiently and very loudly makes ice. So you open up the hatch there, put some ice down inside. Let's go over here. How loud this thing is. And he is getting a little worn out. I can't blame him for stalling every once in a while. Okay, well, I've made a zillion cocktails with this thing. And I'll show you the ice. The ice is, it tends to be fairly wet, but it's very similar to the hand crank ones. The only difference is that sometimes you get more finely shaved ice through this thing, which tends to be a problem because the ice is melting before it has a chance to even cool the cocktail. Another option if you're in a pinch, but we have a better option. Let's do that. So Sonic. There are Sonic drive-ins all over America. They offer for about $3-4 a bag of ice like this. Sometimes if you let this stuff sit in your freezer for a little too long, I usually just take like a juice squeezer and give it a couple of whacks, and then it breaks up the ice nicely. But let me show you the quality of this ice. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the quality of ice from Sonic is so good. Okay, let me get rid of these big chunks because I don't want you to get the wrong impression. The big chunks just happen when this bag has been sitting in the freezer too long and you just need to crush them up more. So here's the quality of ice from Sonic. When it's in your freezer for a long time, man, it's rock hard. But it's also chewable, and it's also very uniform in shape. So you know that each piece is gonna dilute the cocktail at about the same rate. This is a great solution. And if you don't have a Sonic by your house, Chick-fil-A will also sell you those bags. And don't think like you're putting them out or anything by going, hey dude, can I have a bag of ice please? Because it's one of the products that they offer for purchase. In the past, I think I've bought 8 bags at a time for a party. Yeah, I don't know if it's their favorite thing to wrap up and hand through the window, but if you want great ice for tiki cocktails, Sonic is a great solution. Sonic or Chick-fil-A. Hell, you should buy that stuff just to have around the house for lemonade or water or sodas or whatever you drink. It's great. It's so great. I'm just gonna sit here and eat ice now. It's really good. It's fresh. It's purified. That's another thing, is you gotta make sure that whatever ice you're putting into your cocktails, you enjoy the taste of that water, because that flavor is gonna go into your drink. God. All right. Okay. Okay. And now may I present to you the Opal from General Electric 2.0. This is the 2.0 model. I do want to say that this is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting paid to endorse this thing. And in fact, a fan of the Breezeway Cocktail Hour sent this in support. So, like, what a gift, man. I gotta say, after all those years of making those trips to Sonic to buy ice, having this thing in my home is like the best thing in the world. You can see that the front opens up. It comes with a little scoop. This ice was made 2 days ago. What happens is you fill up this tank over here. That tank then turns that water into ice. And this is 2-day-old ice. It does do a bit of refrigerating inside here. One of the biggest concerns in the cocktail community was, well, the ice is gonna be too wet. And I've never had a problem with thinking that the ice was slushy. It tastes just as hard as that Sonic ice. This might be a little wet, but the great thing about this machine is that there's an app. And if you wanna schedule it to make you fresh ice, you don't have to store ice ready to go all the time on your app. Also, it's voice controlled if you want to do that, like through Alexa or whatever. You can schedule ice to be made. So if you know that you're gonna have cocktails later that night, you hit a button on the app, start making ice. And dude, some of the statistics on this thing, pretty amazing. Sorry, I keep eating this ice, it's so good. The great thing is that if you go from no ice at all to pouring water into the reservoir, firing this thing up, 20 minutes until you have ice. It's fast. Not only that, but if you ran this thing all day long and we're pulling ice out of here to put into bags to put in your refrigerator, it can do 24 pounds of ice per day. Can you believe that? That is an effective little machine, isn't it? The great thing is that it also has internal water filtration as well as a UV light to help control bacteria growth. Cleaning this thing is very simple. There's even a hose on the back that you can pull off, drain it into a bucket if you want to run some bleach through it to give it a thorough cleaning. But I've had this thing for several months now and I've only cleaned it once, and I haven't seen the quality of ice go down at all. I would say that my biggest complaint is the way that this thing opens and then drops down like that. That's why they give you this drip tray. And I don't think a drip tray is really I feel like it's a non-solution, because I keep this in a cabinet in my house. I didn't want to have it on the countertop, especially if you have a small kitchen. It just takes up a lot of room. It's kind of noisy. It doesn't really bother me. It just means that it's making ice, and that makes me happy. My biggest complaint is that it's a little bit deeper than I expected. And so for the cabinet that I bought to put it in, it barely fits, and then it doesn't have room for this drip tray. So when this thing does open up, and invariably it drips almost every time I do it, then I have to clean up a mess, and that's the biggest complaint. Otherwise, the production of ice, the quality of ice, and having a machine that makes incredible tiki cocktail ice right at my house, dude, is the best thing in the world. It really is. So I do want to say thank you to Luigi for purchasing this for the Breezeway Cocktail Hour. I will put a link in the description below that is an affiliate link. And it will help the Breezeway cocktail hour if you decide that you want to buy one of these. If you will click through that link and then order it that way, the cocktail hour will get a little bit of a bonus from you doing that. So please consider clicking through our link in order to buy one of these things. Now, these retail for about $579. I don't know that I would have bought it if it wasn't donated to the show. I would love to have one. I do have one, but I don't know that I would have gone out of my way to purchase it myself. But if you do have the financial means to buy something like this, dude, go for it. Oh, maybe a couple other little features. This has a light inside that you can dim or turn on and off, which is really nice. All of the controls are really like tactile, really well thought out. The machine doesn't feel cheap. It feels like something that's gonna last for a while. That is my honest opinion of the Opal 2.0. Oh, you know what? I should also say that another technique for making cocktail ice, of course, is a Lewis bag and a mallet. And that'll get you kind of the same results as the chipper and that kind of thing. But if you're really talking about being specific about your tiki cocktail ice, Sonic, Chick-fil-A, the Opal. Please be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and we will see you in the next cocktail video. Aloha.